I myself grew up in a Ukrainian family in a largely Ukrainian community in northeastern Saskatchewan, 50 miles north of Yorkton, in a village called Teulon. A few years ago, they had their 100th anniversary, and I was able to go back to Teulon and to see all the folks back there in my own home where I grew up. And in our family, as I was growing up, Easter Sunday was the most important Sunday of the year. As a matter of fact, you might be interested in knowing, or if you're not interested in knowing, I'll tell you anyways. The Ukrainian word for Easter, I'll pronounce it in Ukrainian, Velekding, and literally means big day. Veliki dang, big day, Velekding. In the earlier years of my growing up experience, our family went to a Greek Orthodox church just a couple miles north of the village of Teulon. This is a picture of me some years ago when I went to visit my grandpa's grave, and you can see the Greek Orthodox church in the background. And as a result, we kept many of their traditions. One of the ones was the various baking that was done by people back then. And one was called the Pascha. And the Pascha was this braided kind of loaf. And every Easter, my mom would make Pascha for us and always enjoyed eating it. We also kept Lent, and Lent essentially meant not eating any meat or dairy products for 40 days. And for me, as a young boy growing up, I'll tell you what, that was a challenge because I loved, and do to this day, love garlic sausage. And I had to go for 40 days without eating garlic sausage. But on the Saturday night before Sunday morning, my mom would pack a basket of those foods, all of which we had not been allowed to eat for the past 6 weeks. There was all kinds of meats and dairy and other kinds of products there, cheeses and such. And we would go to church in the evening, and there at the Greek Orthodox Church, we had an all-night service, and everybody would bring their Pascha. It was also called Pascha. The basket was called Pascha. And they would bring it there, and you can see on this photo here all the various baskets, the Pascha that people would bring to the church there. And the priest would bless them. And then at sunrise, they would actually go around the church 3 times, and it would celebrate the resurrection of Jesus from the dead. And then we'd all go home about 7 o'clock in the morning, and we would eat. And you can imagine how excited I was to get at that garlic sausage that Sunday morning on the Easter Sunday. Later on, in my teenage years, my parents started going to a Baptist church, and there was a couple of reasons why I liked Easter so much in that church. And that was because every year we would get a new Easter outfit. That was kind of the thing. You got a new set of clothes on Easter Sunday. Back in those days, all the women would buy and wear, they used to call them Easter bonnets. And all the ladies would come to church with all these fancy do-dangled hats on their heads. Always a highlight, I guess, for them. Secondly, on Easter Sunday, in those days, everybody went to church. And there was every church was packed out. People who even never went to church always went to church on Easter Sunday. The churches were always packed to the gills, and there was always a sense of excitement in those Easter services. I could still sense that as we walk into the church, and it was great to see the church packed out. It was Easter Sunday. Now, for us as believers in Jesus Christ, today is the day we celebrate what we believe to be the greatest event in human history, and that is the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead. As a matter of fact, for us as Christians, Easter Sunday, we believe, is even more important than Christmas. Christmas is significant, but it pales in significance when you contrast it to the more incredibly important experience of the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead. As a matter of fact, one pastor put it this way, that Easter is the Super Bowl of Christianity. So it is. And there are 2 things this morning that I want to suggest to you why I find, and I'm sure you will agree with me, as to why Easter is so meaningful. First of all was what we talked about on Good Friday, Christ's death on the cross. And then, of course, the more significant event, and that is the resurrection on Easter Sunday morning. And so this morning, what I want to do is ask the question, what is the significance of each of these two things for us today?